Hey, how's it going, everyone? This is the Anime Man, and I am back home in Australia right now for the Christmas and New Year's of 2016, if you're watching this as it uploads. But if you're not watching this and you're watching this sometime in the future, then come with me as I tell you a little bit of a story time that happened to me recently. So as you can see in the title, I was fortunate enough to actually be on a Japanese TV show. And by be on a Japanese TV show, I don't mean like, you know, like someone else is being interviewed and I'm in the background being like, hey! No, as in like I was actually in the studio along with the MCs, as you can see in the few screenshots that I took. Before I get into the nitty-gritty of things, I just want to say, really cool experience overall. Just because it was a cool experience doesn't mean it was a good experience though. Because as much as this was something that I wanted to tick off the bucket list and I was glad to do so, I fucking hated every minute of it. So it all started out when me, Aki, and my buddy Soul Animation, we were hanging out in Harajuku just going shopping or whatever, and then randomly this woman comes up to me with this TV crew. And I just thought it was going to be like, you know, those small one-off time things. But apparently the things that I said in that interview to that woman really impressed her, and it really impressed, I guess, the producers and directors as well. And so I got a call from her a few days later saying, hey, do you want to be on the show? It's going to be this panel that has 30 other foreigners involved, and they're going to ask certain questions about Japanese society and how Japanese culture works, and I want you to talk about it representing your foreign ethnicity, in my case being Australia. So I just thought, cool, I get to be on a TV show, I get to even spout my opinions about certain things. Sign me the fuck up. Well, that was mistake number one, it seems, because on the day, about a week later, I got invited to the studio along with the 30-something other foreigners that were invited. Now, no disrespect to the foreigners that were there. In fact, I got to be friends with a lot of them, and a lot of them were really, really cool. A lot of them were also very, very good at Japanese because they were either A, halfies like I am, or B, they've been living in Japan for an indefinite amount of time, and so their Japanese was just at an amazing level. But the problem was everything else. See, problem number one was that we got invited 3 hours before we were going on air. 3 hours. I mean, they say better late than never, but really, bro? So for 3 fucking hours, we were sat in this room just with a bunch of chairs and tables, nothing else, and we were just left there to wait. I mean, I just fucking slept, because I mean, what else are you supposed to do? Like, I didn't bring my camera, I had my phone, but it was running out of batteries, weirdly enough. But then finally the 3 hours finishes up, and we were finally invited into the studio. Now, I could only take a few pictures, as you can see on the screen right now, but the studio was really fucking cool, actually. Like, it was so cool to finally be on, like, a TV set. I'd never been on any kind of TV set, even back when I was in Australia. So, it was just really cool to be in this set. So on the set there was like 3 bundles of seats, excluding like the MC chair where like, you know, the MC would run the show along with like some famous, you know, talent and guests. The middle seat was where I was sitting in, which had the 30 foreigners. And then on the 2 other ends there were 30 Japanese like representatives, I guess, because we're talking about, you know, the Japanese culture and how it's different from how a lot of foreigners see it and how a lot of foreign cultures are different to the Japanese culture. Now, to give you a brief idea of what we actually talked about in the show, it mainly covered 3 topics. The first one being the fact that in Japan, the possession of marijuana is just as illegal as the possession of any other more dangerous illicit drugs like crack, cocaine, heroin, all that kind of shit. Even though scientifically speaking, marijuana doesn't actually do anything bad to you compared to things like cocaine and heroin. But since a lot of Japanese people aren't really educated in that kind of drug ethics, a lot of people are saying that they should actually legalize marijuana or not in Japan, and what are the effects of that. Interesting topic, I know. The second topic had to do with sex education, and in the same way, a lot of Japanese people aren't really educated in sex ed because they don't teach it in schools, and a lot of parents don't teach it because society-wise, it's a little embarrassing to talk about. Ironic, because if you go to Akihabara, there are massive stores dedicated to porn and other adult goods, not to mention Japan having some of the most fucked up porn in the world. But you know, no, it's still such a shame to talk about it in public, blah blah blah. And because of that weird-ass societal norm that Japan has about sex education, there are a lot of sexual crimes that happen because, again, not a lot of Japanese people are educated from a young age about sex ed. And so the point of discussion was, do you think this is good for society? Like, do you think this is good for the Japanese culture and the future of the Japanese culture? And do you think that they should enforce sex education in schools? And if not, do you think they should enforce parents to teach sex education? Again, another really interesting topic. And the third and final topic had to do with the fact that in Japan, there is a lot of people who die from overworking. Yes, this is a thing. They even have their own word for it, which has even been incorporated into the English dictionary, called karoshi. And the point of discussion was, what do foreigners think about this kind of fucked up part of the Japanese workplace? Like, it really only happens in Japanese society. What are the causes of that? Why is that happening? And how should we prevent it? 3 really interesting topics that I honestly want to cover in future What the Fuck Japan episodes or rants. If you want me to, then let me know in the comments. So I looked at the show, what the questions were that were going to be covered, and I was excited. I was really excited to be like, yo, this is what I think about certain things. This is how it is different to Australian culture, since I am representing the Australian society. But for 2.5 hours of fucking recording, I didn't say a single fucking word. Not because I didn't want to. God knows I fucking wanted to. No, not because I didn't want to. Because I fucking couldn't. There were like 90 people in this room, all trying to say their opinion at the same time. And literally the MCs, because they're fucking retarded, they only let the same 10 people speak. So the rest of the 80-something people that were in that room were like me. They sat there in silence and frustration because they didn't get to say what they thought. What made it exceptionally aggravating for me especially is that before the show started, one of the producers, TV guys, actually called me over, like, personally. And he ran me through how the recording was going to work and that I had a chance to say my opinions that I said within the street interview that I got originally called for. Yeah, so the MC is going to look at the screen up the top, your opinion is going to pop up, he's going to read it out, he's going to call your name, and then you can explain yourself what you mean in that. I was supposed to say it twice, both for the sex education part and for the overworking part. And so I was like, cool, I get to say my own opinion on TV about it. And since it's one of those shows that really likes to take itself seriously and I think purposely tries to make it a controversial topic to get discussion going, not only within the show, but within, like, the audience that is watching it from home. They were like, just say what you think, and if it's, like, really, really bad, then you can just tell us, and we'll be sure to cut it out. So I'm like, cool, okay, that's sweet. You know, it's nice that you're giving everybody a chance to say, you know, both sides of the spectrum, and I thought to myself, wow, this is a very open show, especially for such a PC culture that 2016 fucking has become. Because, you know, everybody gets fucking triggered about everything, even like the extremely innocent stuff. Somebody out there is going to get offended for some stupid reason, but I digress. And I was sitting there in anticipation as to when my name was going to be called and when my opinion was going to be put on the screen for everybody to see, and it never fucking happened. So I'm sitting there in silence like, what the fuck? I thought I was supposed to say something. Not to pat my own back or anything, but the opinions that I had on certain things were actually pretty valid in my opinion. Like, again, I built up enough arguments to make any of these topics into a What the Fuck Japan episode on my own, which I am actually really wanting to do. Because, you know, I was put onto Japanese TV and the motherfuckers didn't let me say my own opinion that came for. But again, what made it especially aggravating was not that I couldn't say my own opinion, which they said I was able to, but the opinions that were said on the show were stupid beyond belief. I couldn't believe some of the arguments that some of these people were saying. Not just the foreigners' opinions, but also the Japanese and the MC's opinions. If you got that entire show and I made it into a script for my own video, I would scrap it immediately. Because it makes no sense. It's like the most obvious bullshit that you could say. Like with the whole overworking and the karoshi thing, which I had the most opinion about, and I could, again, make an entire video on it just by myself. This entire segment went for an hour, and 99% of it consisted of the same two people who were just saying the same shit over and over and over again. It kind of went like this. I'm a freelance artist who works on his own, and I think that people should have the right to work overtime if they want to. I'm the owner of a company, and yeah, I agree, but the economy, man. Yeah, I agree, the economy is pretty important, but human rights, bro. Yeah, I understand human rights, but the economy, bro. So what you're saying is the main argument was that people should have the right to work overtime if they want to because they have the rights, but it's difficult to because of the economy. No fucking shit! Like, that is the most obvious fucking answer you can give in this situation. We're not discussing the fact that people have the choice to work overtime if they want to. No, that's not the point. Everybody knows that. Like, obviously, we know it's gonna affect the economy, and we know that people have the rights in the workplace to work overtime if they want to. But that's not the point. The point is, how is it gonna affect the economy, and what is the problem? Why does this problem even exist in Japan and exists very little in every other country and culture. And I wanted to say that. I actually had a theory as to why the problem might exist in the first place, but no. Let the fucking retarded people speak first, because the people who are watching this want to act smart, but they're just dumb. Honestly, I could tell that the creator and the writer of this show were a bunch of retards. It's like they want to write a smart show, but all the answers need to be dumb so that it can appeal to people who don't know how to formulate a fucking opinion. It's like a top-level weeaboo trying to go for the top-level Japanese proficiency test. Bro, I know Japanese proficiency test. Fucking easy, let me show you. And then when they come back with like a close to 0%, they make the excuse of, yeah, but like no one needs to know that kind of difficult Japanese, man. You can get by with just the simple shit. Yes, you can get by with the simple shit. But if you're building a TV show that is trying to delve not only into the simple shit, but also into the more difficult underlevel shit, then you gotta let people speak about the underlevel shit. And also, now that I think about it, those kinds of shows, especially when they get a bunch of foreigners involved, yeah, a lot of those shows are pretty fucking racist. Now look, I'm not the type of person to bitch on about every single racist comment, but no, honestly, a lot of Japanese TV programs I find seem to have a really weird look on Western culture. Because whenever someone in the foreigner panel that I was in spoke, it was usually the American girl. It's like Japanese TV thinks that American culture represents all of the Western world. And look, that's no disrespect to Americans and the American culture. I fucking love you guys. But it seems that Japanese TV programs love you a little bit too much. And it's like, if you're just going to let the American girl talk about the American culture and presume that all other cultures outside of Japan and America are exactly like America, then why did you gather 29 other people from 29 other countries? There were some people from that panel from countries that I had never even fucking heard of. Or I have heard of, but I knew nothing about the culture. And so I was actually kind of excited to hear these kinds of problems from their point of view and from their point of view of their own culture. Because not only do I want to learn about how Japanese culture is different to mine, but how Japanese culture is different to every other country that was on the panel. I wanted to know about the different cultures, and I'm sure the MCs and the audience watching the show want to know about the different cultures of the world and how they are different. But no, let's let the American chick represent all 30 of us because, you know, America is the rest of the world according to Japan. Hey, newsflash, Japan. It's not. I mean, I'm glad that I was able to tick off one thing off my bucket list, and that is to go on to a Japanese TV show. Like, actually go on to a Japanese TV show. But will I go on to that show again? No. If it was any other, like, more innocent show, like, you know, a quiz show, because there are a lot of quiz shows in Japan, or if it was just, like, a regular casual talk show where I just get to, you know, answer some questions, like, just in a much more casual way, or just talk whatever the fuck I want to talk to, I'd love to go on to those shows. I'm sure being on those kinds of shows would be so much fun. Seriously, after that show finished, I actually wanted to go talk to the director or producer or whoever made that fucking show, and I wanted to show them how to make a proper opinion piece based show. I would have been like, yo, go on to any opinion piece related channel on YouTube, and they do a much better fucking job than the shit that you have right here. Because you guys might think that you have a smart show going on right here that covers controversial topics, but you're delivering it in the most stupid way possible. So to anyone who is part of the show or who is responsible for creating the show, and you want to hear my opinion, I'll give you my opinion. Fuck that show. And the motherfuckers had the nerve to invite me again onto like the next episode. I'm like, nah bitch. And yeah, there you go. That was my rant on being on Japanese TV. Honestly, going on to Japanese TV again was a cool experience, but not exactly a good experience. And honestly, after going on to that type of Japanese show, I'm really glad that I'm actually doing YouTube instead of being in that bullshit. Because, you know, I actually get to say what I think about something, not be invited to say what I think, and then end up listening to everybody else's retarded opinion. And again, it's not that I'm opposed to the opposite opinion or anything like that, but you gotta, you know, first make a valid opinion before you start to reiterate your invalid opinion. So yeah, guys, hope you enjoy that little story / rant. You will never see me on a Japanese TV show again, or at least not that show. And if you enjoyed this kind of story time, then let me know if you'd like to hear more. I've done a few in the past which you guys really enjoyed. You guys really enjoyed my Tsundere Maid Cafe experience, so yeah, I think I have a few more of those kinds of stories, Japan anime-related stories, in my sleeves. So again, if you'd like to hear more stories from me, or you enjoyed this one, then make sure to fucking destroy that like button, yo. Let's see if we can get to 100,000 likes. Yeah, 100,000 likes, boys. 100,000 likes, let's do it. Now, if you excuse me, I'm gonna go write a script for my next rant that actually has valid opinions and is actually me saying my own fucking opinions. So I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. As always, like, favorite if you enjoyed, subscribe from Rhino Banner, and I'll see you guys next video, whatever I make. Keep watching anime.